Hey guys, so I recently turned 38 and I thought now is the perfect time for me to share my net worth at 38 years old. Last year I shared my first ever net worth at age, and obviously I was 37 then, and I was so happy to share that, and I thought I'd do the same thing this year. But for this year's net worth, I wanted to do it a little bit differently in that since my birthday this gone Monday, I have literally been reflecting on my life, like from the day I was born through all of the decades up until now, especially as I inch closer to the fourth decade. I'm very happy and excited for the fourth decade, obviously God willing, but I am just so excited for it. I love being 38. I think I was a little bit scared when I was 28 going into my 30s, and then I was just like, well, it's gonna happen, right? And then it did happen. I mean, I'm not taking it for granted, but it happened, and I was just like, but then I started to stabilize and get to know myself a little bit better, and now I'm just like, yes, so it's been such an incredible 37 years, ups and downs and everything in between, but I honestly cannot complain. Actually, knowing me, I probably can find something, but that's a topic for another day. Anyway, so for today's video, like I said, I wanted to share with you my net worth at 38 years old. As you guys know, I write everything down, so I've got my notebooks here, but I've also got pieces of paper with me because for me to be able to record everything that's happened in the last 10 years, I had to write stuff down, yo. So that's exactly what I did. I went back as far as I could in 2015 and look at my memories from my photos, from my notebooks and stuff like that. And that's what we're going to cover in today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to Budget with the July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and on this channel I share with you everything personal finance. I cover budgeting, saving and investing, and over the last however many months I've been sharing with you guys lifestyle content in the form of vlogs, which I love filming. They're a lot of work. Kudos to lifestyle vloggers or just vloggers in general, but I've been enjoying doing them when I have the time. So like I said, for today's video I wanted to do it a little bit differently to what I did last year. Last year I went straight into sharing with you what my assets were, my liabilities were, their numbers, and then sharing the net worth at the end. If you didn't know, net worth is literally just your assets, what you own, versus your liabilities, which is what you owe on. And the difference you get from that is your net worth. A lot of us, when we're starting out, our net worth is 0 if you are lucky. If you're not so lucky, it's a minus number, and then you start working yourself out of that into positive and then start building on your net worth. So let's go back to 2015. I won't go play by play for every single month, but what I'm going to say is this. 2015 was the year that I got my British citizenship. So at that time, my home country Zambia wasn't doing dual citizenship. They do now. So I had to give up my citizenship then. I'm reclaiming it because home country. I got my British citizenship that year. I was gonna say last year, but that year 2015, and then I also did my first ever trip to South Korea to visit my best friend. She was stationed there. Well, I say stationed, she wasn't in the army or anything. She was teaching English. She was there for 7 years before she came back home. But yeah, so I got my citizenship and I did my first big trip to Korea. So that was my first time. I went in April and then I went back again in September. That's how much I loved it. It was such an experience, and I'm excited to be visiting again soon. Then in May of that year, my brother got married, and earlier this year in May itself, we were talking about, can't believe it's been 10 years since my brother got married. He's been with my sister-in-law for 15 years or thereabouts. Yeah, but they've been together for forever, and I love it for them. So yeah, so that year, it was also the time my brother was getting married was also the first time I got an apartment by myself. So prior to that, I was in my parents' house. Then I went to uni. Then I started house share, so where I would rent a room in a house. So I got my first apartment, and those who know me in real life know that that apartment is on the same road as my current house. Isn't that incredible? Like, I used to walk past this house and I'll just be like, awesome, not knowing that that was my future home. But anyway, so that year I got my first apartment. My brother got married. I got my British citizenship, and it was a lot of things. And that year, I want to say, was also the year that I decided to start investing in the company that I worked for. So the company that I worked for, as part of my compensation package, then gave me options in the company which I could exercise once they invested. And then I also, in 2015, I started working for the company in 2014. In 2015, I made a decision to start sacrificing 1% of my monthly pay and investing into the company. So that was where my life completely changed. That small contribution at work, I did not know what it would yield in the end. I think this is the beauty of investing, compounding. And I wasn't timing the market. And also, although this is no financial advice, at that time I was just investing in the company that I work for because I believed in the company. But also, I had no clue what I was doing. Let me be honest. I had no clue what I was doing. But I spoke to my dad. I spoke to my mom, told them what was happening. I'm like, yeah, just do it. And I think at that time I had been, I want to say, debt free for maybe, was I debt free already? Yeah, I think I just became debt free because at that time, if I look at the options that I had in the company that I worked for, it was about just, I want to say, if not 16K, it was between 25 to 50K of the options that I had invested, and about 5K of what I'd invested into. No, was it 5K at that time? No, I lied. It wasn't 5K at that time. It was a couple of years later when it was 5K. But I know the options were worth between 25 and 50K. But I don't know if I can count that as part of my net worth. I had no debt. Later that year, I ended up going into a little bit of debt, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But that year, I had zero debt. But when it comes to my assets, I also had zero assets outside of the investments that I had in the company that I worked for, but with also a little bit of saving because I'd started to save to buy a house. Okay, so that was where I was then in 2015. Now, looking at where I am now, I think I've mentioned before, I can't remember when I hit my first 100K because I was invested at work, and then I also got, as part of my compensation package, options at work which were vesting along, as I worked for the company. The longer I stayed, the longer the options had time to vest and I could sell them and stuff like that. So I don't know between 2014 and 2020, no, between 2014 and 2019, when I reached 100K. I can't tell you for sure, but I knew that 2015 I was between 25 to 50K in options that hadn't yet vested. So that was part of my compensation package. So that's kind of like a little backstory to where I was. Now let's move to where I am now. And I share this in almost all of my net worth update videos. I share with you what my assets are for me. That is my properties. I have a couple of properties. I then have stocks and shares. So I invest in the stock market, and then cash and savings. I think in 2020, I included my car because I just paid off the car then, and I was tracking whatever it would have been sold for had I sold it at that time. I still own that car now, and I literally don't track it anymore because I think this is an interesting statement because pre-2020, everybody was talking about how it was a depreciating asset, blah, blah, blah. Then post-2020, the price of second-hand cars started going up because nobody was buying new cars. Everybody was, trying to save money, blah, blah, blah. So it became still a depreciating asset, but it became an appreciating asset in that second-hand cars were going up. So, but anyway, I tracked it once and I haven't tracked it since. So I don't include that. Then when it comes to things like my liabilities, I track my mortgages for the properties that I own, and then also my loans and credit cards whenever I have debt on those. So that's what we're going to cover in today's video as well. I need to take a sip of water because I've been talking for a long time today. Okay, so if we start off first with my assets. So my assets, it has taken me 10 years actually to build up my assets. So I have used the last of my 20s all the way through to where I am now in my 30s, almost to the end of my 30s, building up my assets. I think I mentioned this specifically because I watch a lot of videos and people talking about how they are behind. Whether you're behind or not, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is you start making the changes now. Okay, so when I was in my 20s, to be honest, I wasn't even caring about assets or what have you. I had just gotten my first taste of freedom, and for my African, maybe Caribbean as well, I'm not really sure, but for my African friends in the diaspora, even back home, can relate. Like when staying at home, you are under the guise of your parents and guidance of your parents, but it comes sometimes with a lot of restrictions. And so when I went to uni, it almost felt like freedom to me. Me and my friends talk about this. It's like we tasted freedom for the first time. So I focused all my attention on my education and having fun. My mom only had 2 rules for me when I left home. She was like, you can't fail at school. So I had to pass all of my exams and also have fun. But you can't fail. And I lived up to that. I was like, okay, I cannot fail. That is the one rule she has. The second one, which is not really a rule but more of a guide, have fun. I did not know, because honestly, if I did not have the upbringing that I do and the foundation that I do, I probably would have gone off the rails, if I'm honest. But I am glad I had the foundation and upbringing that I did. So I was able to have fun. I had fun at university. And I don't regret it. I had fun, but one thing I know is that I wasn't looking at building my assets or what have you. Honestly, I was just trying to get by, especially being at university. I was working 2 jobs when I was at uni to pay for my tuition. I did not qualify for government assistance at that time, so I had no student loans. So I had to work 2 jobs, still maintain the social life, still maintain the romantic life, still studied. Okay, I don't know how I did it, but I did. And I'm grateful for it. That was definitely an experience that has set me up for success. Would I want my children to go through the same things? Probably not. Certain things for sure, for character building, but the rest I think I would not. I would like for them to appreciate the value of money, but I think I would find a different way to show it to them, because I'm working hard right now so that my future children don't have to suffer or go through the same things. But I also know that sometimes it's those things that build character. So right now it's kind of just watching people who are doing this parenting thing right, and also learning from my parents and see how I can incorporate both for my future kids, because I don't want them to suffer, but I also still want them to appreciate the value of $1. But anyway, I have lost the plot. I'm not sure where I was, but at uni, so I worked, right? So I wasn't focusing on building anything. And I mentioned this because I remember a couple of years ago when I stumbled upon Lamide Elizabeth. She's here on YouTube, one of my favorite UK. I think she's not exactly based in Dubai or in South Africa. She's between these 3 countries, including the UK. When I stumbled upon her first video, I think it was the one where she was talking about buying her first property at 23. And honestly, I was like, wow, that girl. At 23, I was in a club in Stevenage. That was what I was doing at 23. I was working 2 jobs just to get by. At 23, that was ours. And I was just like, wow. Whereas we were just busy out here having fun, and I'm sure she also had fun and what have you, people were actually thinking about their future. I don't know if it's got something to do with how she was brought up, if it got something to do with the studies that she did. She's in finance investment, I think, or what have you. I'm not really sure, but I know for a fact that at 23, I wasn't doing half or even anything of what she was doing. All I was doing was studying, partying, and going to my part-time jobs and trying to maintain a social life and drinking enough water. That's what I was doing at 23. So sometimes I know that we stumble upon these videos and we start comparing. For me, what I've learned over the years is that outside of the usual comparison is a thief of joy, I have taken to admiring. So I looked at Lamide. She is, I don't know how old she is now, but she's definitely 10 plus years younger than me. And I look at what she's doing and I'm just like, wow, I am inspired. I'm in my own lane, she's in her own lane, and I'm just like trying to get as much knowledge from her, from people. I get knowledge from people younger than me, people my age, people older than me. I don't care. Knowledge is knowledge. And I try to do what works for me, right? So I was just like, wow, I was definitely so inspired. I was just like, okay, let's strap up our boots and see what else we can do. I became in competition, not with her, but with myself. See what I can do. Okay, so anyway, it's just all going back to thinking like at that age, at 23, I wasn't thinking about that. At 28, I was thinking about getting out of debt and buying my first property. That's what I was thinking about at that time. But I wasn't thinking about investing in the stock market outside of investing for the company that I work for. That is it. So whatever stage you are at, breathe. Take a moment, reflect. What do you actually want for your life? Obviously, I can't give this anecdote to every single person in the world because living in Europe is also a privilege. You know, it comes with its own advantages for some people, not for everybody, for some people. So I can't be like, oh, just do ABC. No. There's circumstances that have to be put into considerations, but again, work with what you have. And what's available to you, I should say. But anyway, so that was like how I was 28 and before. And then 28 onwards, started working on repaying all of my debt. I started took seriously repaying my debt off May 2014. I sat down after having a heart-to-heart with my mom about money and how bad I was at it, and I was in so much debt. And I ended up literally looking at it. I was so embarrassed after. First of all, I was so embarrassed that my mom knew that I was in so much debt. And it was about £12,000, and for me, it felt like the end of the world. I was in this continuous cycle with payday loans, but I sat down with my mom, looked through, have the talk, but writing down everything. I did it all by myself. I looked through everything and I decided, okay, I'm gonna pay every single company back. I called them, I went on a repayment plan, and I paid them off in 18 months or under 18 months, whatever it was. But I think I was debt free by December of 2015. Then I started talking about going back into debt, and I talked about, wanting to buy a car, especially at that time. There was a lot of uncertainties with my then company. There was, we're going to get sold, and they were selling off parts of the company, so we weren't sure. And for me, they had sold off the majority of the work that I was doing, so I was sure that they wouldn't need me. Surprisingly, they did, and they kept me for something else. They were like, we need the skills, and I'm like, okay, all right. Thank you. But yeah, so because of that, I ended up buying my car. I didn't buy my car that year. I ended up buying my car 2 years later. So, but it was all of these things that I was thinking about, but I was debt free end of December 2015. So I didn't have anything in terms of assets except for a few savings, and then options that I hadn't yet vested in the company that I work for. That was it. Nothing else. No credit card debt, no car loans, no student loans, no mortgage, no nothing. fast forward 10 years later to where we are now, and I have all of this and more. So in terms of my investments, I'm going to combine the investments and the savings / cash, because whenever I'm tracking my net worth, I capture all of the accounts. On the last working day of the month, I capture what do I have in my savings, what do I have in my checking account. I include that all, and I share that number with you guys. So for my investments and my cash and savings, that all, I think I wrote this down, that came to just under £160,000. The majority of that, as you know, is my investments. My goal is to reach 130k just in my pension, and then if I could do 50k in my other investments, I'll be happy. So we're kind of, these are stretch goals because I've already achieved the goals for this year. So we're working on that. So when it comes to my investments, cash, savings, what was in my current account, I was at £160,000. Then the second bucket of my assets is my properties, and those are over £1,080,000. That's what I have in terms of my assets. So when it comes to my assets overall, I am at 1,237 and 90 something, 976 pence or something like that. And then when it comes to my liabilities, there's been a big change in this department. So I still have my mortgages, and then I also have a personal loan. I had 2 personal loans at the time I was filming last year's video. This year I only have 1 personal loan because I've paid off the other loan. And when I took the numbers down, I had 13,686 and 73 pence. That was my my loan that I have. So in terms of liabilities, it's 776,759 plus. That was my liabilities. So at age 38, my net worth is 461,216 pounds is my net worth. So looking at where I was last year, I wrote the numbers down. Last year, granted, when I recorded the video, it was around October time. So comparing where I was at October time and where I am now, there is a 20k difference in my net worth. So last year I was at 445. This year I'm at 460. I was at 440 last year, and I'm currently at 461 in my my net worth, which is absolutely incredible. I love it for me, but I'm just so excited to be working on this. If you watch my videos, then you know that I am on my 5-year plan, which 2025 makes it year 5. I wish I had done a 10-year plan starting from when I was 28, but it's okay. I am going to continue on this plan, even though the 5-year plan itself is ending this year. I'm going to continue on as if I wrote a 10-year plan. So now I have to think about things that I would like to accomplish in the next 5 years, because I do also have a big milestone, which is turning 30 in 2 years time, and I intend to celebrate that like a crazy person. But I'm also thinking of next year not really having much of a bigger goal other than buying my dream car. That's all I want to focus on next year. Like, I want to get rid of all of my loans this year and see if I can buy my dream car next year. Like, that's the only goal that I want. And then maybe I could do something for 2027 when I'll be 40. Maybe I could have, outside of celebrating my 40th, I could have another goal. I'm not really sure, but I have to sit down and think about what I want the next 5 years of my life to look like. But this is my net worth for at 38. I love it for me, and yeah. So this was the video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video real soon.